Hi, it's Tuesday night at 6:30. So once again, we're going to talk about what we're reading. I have one of my favorite librarians of all time from the Gaines Township branch with me, Beth. And Beth's going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is the KDL Core collection. Beth, why core?
Okay. Well, we were just talking about it. I'm doing some training stuff, and I'm like, core is an interesting subject because it's fairly new still. There's so many things on here that you will not run out of anything to read anytime soon. And Penny is the expert.
I'll tell us again. The core collection is a
Yes.
group of books that KDL has signified as really the heart of our adult collection. So they have stickers with hearts on them because they are most loved by librarians and by patrons because they get checked out a lot.
There it is.
Yes, KDL Core. So if you're looking for a book, if you're one of those people who I haven't been in the library for a long time, I'm not sure what I'm even looking for. Seek out either a display of those core books or look for them on the shelf because that's what we recommend and what patrons like the best. Which one have you
Mhm.
got there, Beth?
Oh, I have another question for you before we do
Yeah.
that. So, what made you? What brought on the core stuff? What made you come up with the idea to do this type of thing? Did you see it someplace else, or what?
No, actually, what made me think of it was because I do a lot of traveling and I go through airports.
Oh, yeah.
And it frustrates me sometimes that people say, "Oh, I go into the library, but I can never find the book I want." They never have anything I want to check out. And it's very hard for us to keep up with bestsellers because we're sharing these books. We can't buy 10,000 of them so everyone in our service area gets that bestseller. So it's kind of a
Hmm.
challenge for librarians to have something right there face out that you'd like to check out. So I went to one time in an airport, I went to one of those little newsstands and they had a
Hmm.
display of books. And I looked at it and I said, not all of those are bestsellers. They had some books that were just perennial favorites.
Right.
For instance, they had a copy of Devil in the White City
Right.
by Eric Larson. They had a copy of Gone Girl, which has been out forever by Flynn. So I said, we have those books too, the ones that were really hot. But what we do at the library is they're interfiled back in the back in big shelves with all of our other books that maybe weren't so hot and weren't so popular. And for someone who's just wants to run in and grab something, or someone who hasn't been to the library for a while and not sure what they're looking for, it's hard to find those big books.
Hmm.
That's what made me think maybe we could do that better. I
Right.
started putting them on display tables
Hmm.
so that I would make sure that those books were pulled, those hot books, the ones that were the bestseller 5 years ago that everybody had to have. And maybe you
Hmm.
haven't gotten around to read, or maybe the one that was just a bestseller last year and is still pretty hot and
Hmm.
hard to get your hands on. The big titles. So
Hmm.
I started pulling them and putting them on display tables, and they just went like hotcakes. But the problem was sometimes we'd have a substitute librarian or someone who wasn't as sure what those hot titles were or how to get them herself off the shelf to put on display.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, to make it easier for everybody, why don't we pick some out that we always want to put out there and put these stickers on them?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's how it started.
And you did adult because that's your specialty, right? For collection development.
Yeah, I was a collection development librarian for a while, but I bought adult nonfiction, which represents quite a bit of the core collection.
It
Those
does.
those can be the hardest to find, the popular nonfiction, because they really, you're not even sure what to look on because they're not under author; they're going to be under the subject matter they're about.
Hmm.
So it's hard to find those big books.
Hmm.
You may not know Malcolm Gladwell. Where do you put the tipping point and those kind of big books? Or the Brene Brown, where do we put, Rising Strong?
Hmm.
So it's nice to bring all those forward like they do at the airport newsstand. See, I learned something from the airport newsstand.
I didn't know that. That's new information for me. Yeah, we have the books separated, and it really has been nice because there's patrons who come in every single week, read a ton, and you're like, I have no idea what you haven't read. And then you can bring them to the shelf, and they have the little pamphlet And you may have missed some of these. These are the books that hit all the news and everybody was trying to read, and you may have missed it because there was so much at that time. And I've had really positive reaction from those super readers because there are books they missed. I mean, there's a lot I haven't read on here, but I know about but haven't read. So it's been a very positive thing, I think, for the branches.
It was a lot of fun to put together those books,
Mhm.
to research what was the biggest books. Looking through different, I looked through the last 10 years and different people's lists, like People Magazine's most popular, and all of those kind of lists. Which ones of these are still popular, still going strong? And there's some books that just will seem to linger a lot longer, like
Yeah.
Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, that has been super popular for a long time. And I think it's the most popular core title, or one of them. No, the most popular core title is still, you know what book?
Uh,
um, the fish, the crawdads, where the crawdads sing.
right. That's a
I
newer
had to
title.
think my way through that, but
I
where the
read it.
crawdads sing is still the most popular core title.
This one's very popular too. All Hail the
Yes,
Sea, Anthony Dorr. I read this
love
one.
that book.
Yeah, I really like this. I like this one better than Crawdads. I didn't
Oh,
hate,
me too, definitely.
but this
And
was
Anthony
very,
Doerr's coming out with a new book this fall.
yeah, that's
I
exciting.
noticed on the um, what
What's,
we what's coming up.
yeah,
Yes,
that's cool. So yeah, so I had that one was on the shelf at Gaines. Becoming. I also read that biography. Gotta love that. Did you read this one too?
nonfiction. I have not read that one yet. No,
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't read all the cart titles. Um, I've read reviews of them all, but I have not actually read them all yet.
There's 100 of them. There's
I know.
Yeah, this one I enjoy because it goes so much into her childhood and like into her as a person, and I like that character. Even though she's a real person, it still has that character. Where you can kind of see her family life was like, and siblings, all that type of thing. So that's
Right.
not something you usually hear about. And they have the cute little pictures, of when she was a kid.
That's fun.
So, yeah, she's a awesome woman. So I really like that one too. This one is an oldie, but a favorite. The Kite Runner.
Yes.
I can't pronounce it. Can you pronounce
Oh,
his name?
I'm terrible. Hosseini, I think his last name. Khalid Hosseini.
Yeah, so this is one that I don't know what year it was published originally, but never gets old. It's one of those titles, like did you read this one?
Yes,
Yeah. It's very powerful. It's hard to read the things that happen in the story, but it's so moving and powerful.
it
So
is.
I like that one. That was on the shelf. Oh, and this is one of my favorite books ever, which I hope never goes off core because I love it. Bill Bryson, A Walk in the Woods.
Oh, yeah. That's an oldie but a goodie.
Yes. He's one of my favorite nonfiction authors because I just appreciate his humor and I have to listen to it because he reads them.
Oh, yeah. Good tip.
Well, because if you just read the book, he has a certain type of cadence humor, like he's kind of like straight, but you can get the humor when he reads it.
Yeah, you've got to get the timing right, and you can't
Yeah,
always do that when you're reading it.
no, yeah, because he's just an interesting fellow, and this is one of my favorite ones of his. So it's a favorite. It's one I made my family listen to when we went on a trip quite a few years ago. But it's so much fun to listen to, and it's fun. So that's
I know
definitely
you're a big fan of his book. What was the more recent one? The Wright brothers?
oh yeah, yeah. I love those.
Yeah.
He does. Was he the one that did the one that had the year and oh good grief, my brain shuts off after 5. I recommend everything here. One Summer. That was
Yes, One Summer.
because I thought at first it was going to be all baseball or whatever. It was baseball, right? Anyways, wasn't. It was very good. Yeah, I pretty much read everything he's written, including The Body, which is a newer one, which isn't as gripping as this one is. This one's just so funny. Like this
It's
is
still, so that's what we tried to pick out from the core collection. You love Bill Bryson, but which one's your favorite? That's
yeah.
why we put, you love Stephen King, we put The Shining on there.
I
Because,
can't.
yeah, he's got a lot of new books all the time, but that one
That
still is a favorite. So,
it's always one you want to have, even though it's an older title.
yeah. And if you're looking for core books and you're at home, go to our catalog and type into the search box KDL space CORE for core, and the core titles will come up. And check them out and maybe put some holds on those.
Yeah, I have one other one to show you.
Yeah,
So
what you got?
this is a core. It's actually a biography as well, and I haven't read it, but this is what I really want to read.
Oh, I love that.
I've heard different things about the premise of the story, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get to that book because it's been eluding me so far, but found the core, so I will forget.
Yeah, that is also a great road trip book for a husband and wife team. If
Oh,
Beth and I know happen to know both have husbands who love historical things and to read plaques about history, and the River of Doubt will definitely take you there. But it's
okay.
also, it's such a gripping read, and it has so many different levels to it because it's Teddy Roosevelt, big outdoorsman, silver spoon in mouth when he was young, which I was not aware of. He was
Mm-hmm.
very upper class, but he was also always a football and rough and ready and horseman and
Yeah.
but not always. I mean, he had asthma when he was a kid, and he had to like overcome that and he did it by exercising constantly and just pushing himself. And that was kind of the way he is, and that goes through the book. And after he was president that he took his son to explore a river in South America that had been unmapped. Let that sink in for a minute. Unmapped.
That's
Nothing anymore is unmapped. So
crazy.
you're in a river in the jungle and you don't know what's around the next bend. You don't know if there's a 100-foot waterfall around the next bend. I mean, you don't know. And there's also the indigenous tribes at that area. Some of them were the last people on earth to not have contact with an industrialized society.
Hmm.
They had never had contact with an industrialized society. They had never had contact with anyone outside their own tribe, except for, some little warring tribes here and there. But I mean, always the same. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there were actual cannibals.
Well, he did almost die, but not from cannibals,
Oh
right?
my gosh, yes. So many times he almost died. And you're like, you can't believe he's doing that. And his guide in here, like getting up in the Amazon River, and his guide would like take a dip in the river every morning when he woke up. I'm like, what? And they had to watch out for, there are piranha in there, and there's
Were there the
like,
alligators and like is it like the Nile River?
no,
Like
it's subtropic. There were
subtropical.
a lot of things that could kill you. Beyond piranhas, there were also like different kinds of amoebas and things too. Oh, and this one horrifying fish that I cannot talk about, but after you read it, we will talk about it because it is too disgusting for me to talk on the air.
Oh, oh boy, that's a little terrifying.
It
Yeah,
is.
hello.
It was a fascinating book, just so many different levels, and they were just figuring out. I mean, Teddy still remembered fighting against the indigenous peoples in the United States
Yeah,
and everything they went through. And they're just starting to develop some feelings that maybe we shouldn't be wiping them out.
yeah.
I mean, that kind of talk is just starting on this trip
Mm-hmm.
because the person leading the trip doesn't want anyone to mess with any of the tribes people they see, even in self defense.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he was way past his time.
Yeah. Well, and rough and ready is really the term you think of for Teddy Roosevelt. He was the guy who charged in on the horse and But I don't know a lot of what happened beyond his presidency, so that's why this is interesting
Oh, you
topic.
have to read it. Very, very good. I
Might have to
recommend it
do the
to
audio.
everybody. So, and I'm really excited about Core because Core needs to be updated, because we want these books to be the popular books, not your grandmother's popular books, but always things that you would still be able to talk about at a dinner party and people say, oh yeah, that was a great book. So we're going to have to update it every 6 months. So every
Okay.
6 months. So in September is our first meeting, and we've sent a survey to all our librarians, and we're taking some of the books off the 100 list, and we're adding some new ones. So very exciting.
So you haven't had a meeting yet, so you can't give us like a hint of what's going to be added. I want to
I
know.
don't know for sure yet. I can tell you some of the candidates that we'll
Yeah,
consider.
tell us.
People have asked for Addie LaRue,
Okay.
The Mysterious Life of Addie LaRue. Have you read that one?
No, I've
That one
seen it.
was fun. People have asked for Midnight Library
Okay.
by Matt Haig.
I haven't read that either.
Some people have asked for other titles by authors who are still on there, and I don't know how much of that we want to do. Like I said, we want the favorite. But if you've read the new Kristen Hanna, Four Winds, was a very good Kristen Hanna too.
Mm-hmm.
So that is buying. I don't know. It's tough. We're gonna
Yeah.
read through them all, so it's gonna be fun. And
How people are on the committee? Is it a large group or a small?
we get information from all our branch librarians. So from all 20 branches, we'll be getting in candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And the deciders, I just work with our wonderful collection development librarian, Samantha, who
Yep.
buys the fiction for all the branches. And the two of us whittle it down. So, but who makes the biggest determination are our patrons, our
Mm-hmm.
library patrons, because a biggest factor is this book still being checked out?
Okay.
That's how we determine if it is still popular, not just everywhere, but popular in Kent District Library System, because we want our patrons to get books that are popular in our area. So we look at what is being checked out. So if we have a lot of unused books on the shelf, we probably won't be buying more of that particular title. If we can never get enough of this book and people read it until it's falling apart, that's a good candidate.
Okay. 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 That's good to know. That's good to know. Excellent.
We look at those circulation statistics. So if you have a book out there that you want us to add, make sure you check it out.
It's a quick way to do that. Just check it out.
Check it out, or recommend it to a friend and have them check it out. Then,
That will work.
yeah, so be on the lookout for those core stickers on the side of the book, and make sure you check the catalog for KDL Core. I'm going to save what I'm reading right now for next week. Beth, I'm going to give you a little teaser.
Give a teaser.
I'm about 3/4 the way through Clara and the Sun
Clara and the Sun
by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I am loving it. A lot of times I come on my What We're Reading and I say, well, I don't usually read this kind of book, but this is really good. But not this time. This time I'm reading it just because I wanted to read it. And it's got a lot of holds. I apologize for that, but put yourself on hold for it. Kazuo Ishiguro wrote many wonderful books. He's a celebrated author. He wrote Remains of the Day, which was made into a movie. He's won the Nobel Prize and the Booker Man Award. He's a wonderful author. And in this book, the point of view of the book is from what he's terming an AF, which is an artificial friend.
Okay. And it's fiction, not
Yeah.
your usual nonfiction.
Yes, that's my little teaser. It is so good. I am loving it. I'll talk about it more next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining Beth. And Beth, thank you for coming. I always love having you on the show. It was so great. And thanks for the plug on the core titles.
Yeah, I'm excited about them.
Yay!
I love them.
See everybody next week.